Welcome to the Community Collective podcast. I'm Johnny B. Good, the flip-flop agent, and I've partnered with the Davison Area Chamber of Commerce to bring you the stories that shape our local communities. In our third season, our focus is about connecting, learning, and celebrating the voices that make our communities unique. Join us during this third season as we engage in thoughtful conversations and insightful moments. This podcast is commercial-free and supported by both myself, my co-host, and our guests. We would be so appreciative if you could like, share, and subscribe as we continue having conversations that matter and cannot thank you enough for taking the time to listen.
Well, welcome to a new edition of the Community Collective podcast. I am Travis Howe, the Executive Director of the Davison Area Chamber of Commerce. And unfortunately today, my co-host Johnny B. Good is unable to attend and join us, but I am really looking forward to the conversation we're having today. It's someone a lot of people know of the business, know of the individual, but I would welcome our guest, Chris Graff. Chris, how are you today?
I'm wonderful. How are you doing this morning, Travis?
Good. I'm sitting at home. My kids are home today. I said, "Hey, keep it quiet for a little bit of the podcast recording," and they're always excited to know who we're talking to or what's going on with it. So, which is a good thing. I think this is a fun thing for a lot of our listeners just to get to learn more about what's going on in our community.
Great. Great. Let's do it.
All right. So, Chris, as someone who has a has lifelong ties to Davison, how have you seen the community evolve over the years, and in what ways have you and your family's business contributed to the growth of our community?
Well, I guess going way back to 1982, I was 11 years old when we made the move from downtown Flint out here to Davison and from Ford to Chevrolet. So it has been just about a lifetime of being here. And in some ways, Davison has grown, and in some ways, Davison, I think, has continued to be the very family centric kind of bedroom community for a lot of what goes on around here. So, and I'd like to think that some of those, hometown values and, just good people being good people is kind of something that has been here for as long as we've been here. And I like to think that it continues to manifest itself today. So I think that's one of the uniquenesses or pieces of charm or kind of what makes Davison so great.
Well, yeah, I couldn't agree more. As someone who has moved from a different state to the Davison area, my family, we chose Davison to raise our family here and have loved every bit of it. I think over the years, you start learning more and more what is going on in the community. And it's amazing to see how much history is here, how many people just want to be involved, and how many businesses, especially on the chamber side, I've really learned how many businesses just want to continue to be involved and stay involved just because they love the area and they want to see those hometown values spread everywhere. But we also want to see that little bit of a growth. But I agree,
Yep.
it's as we've grown, you still feel like this is a hometown that you grew up in or someone can move into and feel welcome no matter what.
We've definitely grown here. I know when we, I'm a fourth generation dealer. So when we moved to Davison, we were a 68-year-old business already. And we bought the store from the Graff family. They were in business for 64 years at the time. So we were the two oldest automotive families at the time when we came out here in 1982. So I think we're starting our 100th and 10th year. So we've been in Genesee County for a long time. But when we first came out here, there's buildings that weren't here. In fact, one of my first jobs was mowing the lawn in front, but also in back and in front. Lawn used to be a little bit bigger because we had 4 lanes on M15 as opposed to 5 lanes. So our mowing isn't quite what it used to be. Plus our back parking lot, there used to be 2 rows of parking where there's now 8. And the rest of it was a big grass field. So we've added and added over the years. We started as a Ford store, like I said a minute ago, but in our best year, we sold about 800 new Fords. And there's many years that we sell over 3,000 new Chevrolets, oftentimes top 50 Chevrolet dealer in the whole country, right here in little old Davison, Michigan. So it's been great for us. And like I said, our building, it started small and has grown and grown. And in fact, we've got another big building project here coming this summer where we're expanding our used car operations across the street and hoping to grow. With any luck, we are able to bring another franchise or two to Davison. At least that's my goal and dream, and that's what we're working towards.
Wow, I love it. I love that not only do you guys have that history, but you're continuing to look for ways to continue to invest here, and you're creating local jobs, but then you're also helping families find a vehicle that's going to transport them around on family vacations and just get them to sporting events. And I think that's what I feel like Graff is all about. Is when you go there, I don't ever feel pressured. I feel like I'm just walking in, someone's talking to me to help me to figure out what's going to work best. So yeah, but I know you wear many hats, and the car dealership is one of them. And one area that I've really have gotten an opportunity to talk to you and get to know you a little bit more is with the Davison Community Fund. So, can you tell us about your role with the Davison Community Fund Advisory Committee and what goals for the community that the community fund has?
So yeah, Dave's Community Fund. I think it's one of the best kept secrets. Not that we want it to be a secret, but the Davison Community Fund is an organization that was created before my time. But really, there was first story. There was six-digit gift that someone wanted to leave here in Davison that was never left, and they didn't feel like the government was the best place to make a contribution, and they didn't feel good about giving it to the schools for some strange reason. So, as the story was told to me, a very great group of the founders kind of came together and created the Davison Community Fund, and we modeled it at that time. It was a couple different ways we could have done it, but we modeled it after a couple community funds that we have in Genesee County. And we took the support of the Community Foundation of Greater Flint to kind of be our parent company. But that's given us the infrastructure to do a couple nifty things, is that we've been able to take some of these bigger gifts and in endowment style reinvest in this. And now we're to the point where we have about $10,000 a year through that group, where we're able to throw off grants and to make Davison a better place. So it, and we have the foundation support in the sense that, they're helping us do the right way, but the Davison Community Fund itself is volunteers like myself that have come, that just give of their time. We meet several times a year and then try to figure out what the best use of dollars or use of that grant money is. If we can find a way to make Davison a better place, that's what it's intended to do. And I've been on the group for a long time. I'm currently the liaison between Davison and the Community Foundation. So I get to wear both of those hats. I get two hats, and we've had like I said, it's about 15 of us that meet, to try to make Davison a better place.
Yeah, no, and I know as I've learned more and more about it, I think it's amazing to see over the years what the Davison Community Fund has done in the area. You know, the projects that are submitted and how the group works hard to try to figure out what ways can we invest in many areas as possible, just to make it a place to try new things, whether it's through the schools or parks. And you'll amazing to see like Actors Playhouse getting something. And so it is. And the fact that you're taking time to do the community Davidson Community Fund, but then being the liaison with the Community Foundation of Greater Flint, I'm sure that knowledge coming back to the community is just beneficial for everybody because it's something that you can share. Which I've always found that fascinating, that the more we can learn, the better a community can become.
I'll put a little plug in. If you want to make a lasting impact here in Davison, the community fund, and like I said, it's an endowment style. So what that means is that people make a contribution that goes into an investment fund, and pieces of that come out every single year. So it's a great way to make a lasting impact because there's dollars that come out of that every single year forever. And so, and you have the Davis Community Fund as, the liaison to try to maximize the return on investment. So someone can make if you want to make a larger gift, you can have a named fund and even put some brackets on, all right, I want this to be spent in this area. I want it in parks, or I want it in sports, or I want it in youth, or I want it, and you can have some criteria as to how those dollars get spent year after year. Or if you just want to make a small contribution, a little plug, my friend Nancy Davis, who's just went off as one of our members. I love it whenever a Davison person, passes, actually, instead of making a flower donation or a donation of choice, she always puts a gift in that person's name in the Davis Community Fund. So you can make small gifts or you can make large gifts, but if you want to make a lasting impact forever and ever and ever and ever, it's one of the best spots to do it.
I couldn't agree more. And when you said Nancy, Nancy is such a wonderful individual that I got to see her the other day and got talking to her, and then she just brings a smile to your face. And the fact that she has that focus of, this is one of the best ways to keep investing in our community. And like you said, she's been a longtime member of the community fund. I was sad when her term was up but I know that she is one that will always, people will look forward to get some input and value what she has to say. So, Chris, I'm glad you brought that up because the community, for anyone who's wondering, that the Davison Community Fund, like Chris mentioned, is made up of probably about 15 individuals who have jobs that they're working and they're volunteering their time. And it's people that care about the community and represent so many different areas.
What to that extent, there's not one person on this call that's a part of the Davis Community Fund. There's two of us. So, Travis, in your time, what's been your experience? What do you think? Because you are one of those volunteers.
Yeah, it was something that I didn't know what to expect. I had heard of the Davison Community Fund and had kind of seen like some pictures over the years of where there has been investment. So my first year on the with the group was such a learning experience, not only just to see what groups want are that are applying, but are that are passionate about getting more investments in there. And I think that's the exciting part is it's kind of a secret that people know about, but we want it to grow and just let people know that there's ways to just see where it is. And I think that's something that for me as a member of it, it's been great getting to know everybody and talk to them because each of us have something we're passionate about. And I think that's beneficial when we do kind of our small group get togethers and discussions and looking over grant applications.
Yeah. Well, I guess one other point, I know we spent a lot of time on this so far, but it's nice to be a part of the community foundation because with our contacts there, we've been able to leverage some bigger grant opportunities too, where maybe the Davis Community Fund, because we're kind of a new fund in the grand scheme of things, and we don't have all the resources, but the community foundation is a huge organization, and we've been able to leverage those relationships to grow past the grant money that we have and find other sources for some of the neat projects that we've been able to do it here in Davison.
Yeah, and I think that leads into another great question. You mentioned, people can find new ways to invest in the community, Davidson Community Fund.
Yep.
Your family established the Graff Family Foundation Fund to benefit Davison.
Yeah.
What are the key areas of community development that your family is focused on, and what impact do you all hope to achieve?
So we do have one of those name funds. Ours is very general, and we try not to put as many brackets or criteria on it because we want the committee to have as wide a scope or latitude to spend the money as they see um, best will serve the community, get the biggest bang for our buck. So we just want to make Jennifer's my wife, by the way. I must have her on my mind all the time. We just want to have, the community be as, the best that it can be. So we don't have a lot of, like I said, brackets on how the money is spent. But and it's one of those charities of choice for me and for my family. I know that not only have we been able to, give and make Davison a priority for us, but we've also been able to direct some corporate gifts through the course of the business. From time to time, we'll have people that want to help our business, help our community. So we've been able to leverage like Enterprise Rental Cars has been one of those companies that has been great in the past and has made a two or three different gifts to the Davison Community Fund that we've been able to direct. So we try to do stuff like that as well.
Yeah. So now we're going to jump into kind of more of the business side of things.
Okay.
Now, I mean, you mentioned Graff, being around and getting ready to celebrate almost 110 years
Yep.
of a family business, which is amazing. So I'm sure you guys have seen so many changes and effects and impacts over that long history. But one question is, last summer's hailstorm had a significant impact on Hank Graff Chevrolet, damaging, I think, what, almost every single car on the lot.
Yeah.
How have you and your team been navigating these challenges, and what strategies have you implemented to overcome them?
Well, I think that, it was very impactful. It was, but you don't get too many opportunities to train for those type of disasters. So you just try to keep calm. And we were very blessed to have a great group of people here at we mobilized. We were able to get insurance companies on site to help with the community and everyone's vehicles that were damaged. We're still working through some of those repairs and probably will through the first, maybe even second quarter of this next year. We, like so many different people here in Davison, had roof damage. So in fact, I'm not sure if you can hear, there's in the background here, we have crews that are working on our roof, even though it's snowing out right now, trying to make us whole. But there was a lot of lessons to be gained in there. But the first one is, well, be calm. We were fortunate that throughout that storm, I don't think anyone was hurt. So we just tried to first keep in mind that this was just stuff. And it didn't involve people. And now we got to replace vehicles. A couple things that stood out to me. I'll actually give a shout out to Tony Young, who's our competitor in Owasso. We overnight instantaneously had really no cars that we could sell on the new car side of things. And he helped support us by selling us 17 units. General Motors did what they could, but it was really neat to see the outpouring of our dealer community to us. I think our community here in Davison rallied together and did what needed to do to get everyone fixed and whole and making sure we were going forward. But man, that was a crazy event, watching from under the overhang, huge pieces of hail go through windshields, go through sunroofs, go through back glasses. Every car in the lot was damaged significantly.
Well, I will say, I mean, not only from the stress and probably the worry on the as the business side of things and your teams watching it, I was very impressed when I think it was either that day or the very next day you were out on social media where you had recorded a message, just talking to residents, talking about your commitment, and what you were doing to bring so many different areas together to make life a little bit easier. I was, I mean, and we talked about this at our chamber board meeting. I was like, this is such a great example of how to effectively use social media
Yeah.
just to share something in a hard time to make something positive hopefully come out of what was going on. So that was Chris, that was a great way to really do that. And then as the fact that and then also that you're sharing that, other dealerships were there for you
Yeah.
and helping you guys out. I think that shows you that long history that, Graph has built a lot of relationships over the years just to make sure even though they might be a competitor, they still want you guys to succeed and be
Yeah.
in business and be part of the industry.
Well, we all try to help each other out when we can, and I think our community is a great example of that. And I think if we have a direction, if we know where we're going, even when times are tough and there's worry and fear of the unknown, you try to, if you have a little bit of direction and everyone's kind of pulling in the same direction, good things typically happen. So anyway, thank you for the compliment on that social media post, but that's all we were trying to do is, all right, it's stuff. Now let's fix the stuff. This is how we do it.
Yeah, well, and I know even too, when you guys stepping up, I'll mention last year we came to you guys and we're like, hey, we're partnering with other neighboring chambers, and we will be very interested in doing an after hours event. And I will say, just building those relationships. And I was newer to the chamber still. Your team there at Graff said, yes, let's work together, let's figure something out. And it turned out amazing. And you had, it was actually when you guys were still open for business and you welcomed people in and you took them on tours and just spent time, which to me, that meant a lot because I was still learning a lot in the chamber world and, a different aspect of our community in my new role. And so I think that was a fun thing just to bring a couple communities in, just enjoy an evening of some snacks and checking out some fun cars that you guys have, and just and you stopped by and talked to the teams that were there. We had groups from Burton and Grand Blanc and Goodrich and kind of all the surrounding communities, and so that was a really fun time. And I think that's an example of where you guys not only that are involved in maybe like the community, Davison Community Fund, or working with other dealerships, but you guys also support so many different areas in the community, whether it's, the schools, the chamber, or anything. Graff, I think you guys have shown over the years that you really just care. You want to make sure you're getting business coming in. But for me as a chamber director, it's been really nice this past year having Graff part of our team. Um, and just I can go to you guys and just talk to you, and you guys have good ideas from the history that you guys have, and I appreciate that.
It's not too tough to be a good neighbor, I don't
It's
think.
not.
You just be nice to people and care about people and, it's and work. You can't do everything and, but everyone should do something, and pick your thing, and if it's make your community a little bit better. And by yours, it might be something to do with Davison, or it might be something that's hobby related for you, something that you like to do, but give back because that's what, that's how you build a community. It's not by what you take from it, it's what you give back to it. And like I said, you can't do everything, but do something.
Yeah. No, something I'm curious about. I love as we see the commercials for Graff that you're doing them with your dad. What has that been like? I love spending time with my dad, going and doing some activities or watching a movie, but we've never had the opportunity to work together. How has that experience been for you and him? Just every day, going to record a commercial or going to do some business, or what has that been like working with your dad?
Well, he's the best when it comes to commercials, and he was one of kind of the first ones that one of the pioneers here in Flint to get on not the silver screen, but the TV screen. And I remember as a kid, my sister and I would go down to Channel 12 and he would record different commercials actually in the Channel 12 studio years and years ago. But we've progressed since then and it's been a lot of fun. My dad is very well known on TV and even outside of TV, but it's kind of funny. You go to the airport, you go anywhere, and someone's always coming up to my dad saying, "Hey, do the Irish jig for me," or "Hey, it's the leprechaun," or it's having fun with that. So, but as far as doing it with him, it's truthfully it's been a little bit of pressure, especially at the beginning. It was like just trying to be as natural as he seems to be and genuine, and it certainly has been fun, and it's been great getting to know my dad on the business level. He's always been a great dad first, but then he's been a good teacher for me and for my sister to try to, be a part of the community, be good to those people around you. And I don't know. So I've got a lot of respect and certainly love. If you're watching, Dad, I love you. So
That would be a good. I think that'd be a good episode at some point. We get you both on here later in the year and just interact with each other. I think that would be great. Now, we've covered so many different areas, Chris, and I really appreciate your time. And what is what does the future look like for Graff? I mean, 110 years. You mentioned maybe possibly some expansions coming and stuff like that. So, what I know, what are the plans for Hank Graff Chevrolet in the area going forward?
yeah, well, I guess here in Davison, we've acquired some property and we've done some things over the years to try to set ourselves up, to expand. GM has been so wonderful to us, so but for us to grow, we want to sell more Chevrolets for them. We want to sell more used cars. We want to take care of more customers' cars in our body shop and our service department, but we've also tried to make steps to allow for expansion with a different franchise perhaps. And so we're set up and ready to do that, but you don't call up the manufacturer and say, "Hey, I want one." And they say, "Okay, here you go." Doesn't quite work that way, but so we're working on what it takes to bring in another dealership. But truthfully, I've been working on that for several years and it hasn't happened yet. We'll keep working on that. Outside of that, we're a very grow from within organization. I've got a couple young managers that are ready to be their own dealer. One of them is right here in David. In fact, two of them are right here in Davison, and hopefully they'll be given some opportunities to grow. We like being a Michigan organization. It helps us help each other as stores and as customers. We don't really have any growth ambition outside of the state of Michigan. So those are the two ways that we hope to grow right here in Davison, and we hope to grow throughout Michigan. So did that answer your question?
Yeah, no, that is great. And Chris, I know you guys have over at Graff Chevrolet. I think everyone knows how to find you. But if someone was like, okay, I'm new to the area, what direction do I go? How do I find my new vehicle for my family? What's the best way for them to track you guys down?
I think at most every one of my commercials, it just rolls off my tongue. I say, Graff Chevrolet, M15 in Davison. And it's just so natural. So we're right on M15. We're kind of on the north side of town, just north of Flint Street, or Davison Road, as some people call it. And that's where we are. We're on both sides of the street. On the west side of the street, we have an expansion project that will be going on most of this year. And the main dealership is on the east side of the road, which is where our collision center is, which is where our used car department is, and our service department. So is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, no, that's perfect. We want everybody to know that, especially maybe new to the area or our listeners that are not from our community. But Chris, thank you, Chris Graff.
Yep.
Thank you so much for taking some time to join us on the Community Collective podcast. We appreciate your team as chamber members, and we're really looking forward to what Graff Chevrolet has going on in the future and continuing to working with you all. So thank you for your time today.
Yeah, anytime. Travis, you keep up the good work. Thank you for making Davison what it is, and we'll all try to wrap ourselves around you and your efforts too. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Chris. Have a good day.
You as well.